This week is our opportunity to make a difference.
The YMCA can be the change our world and our communities need more than ever.
If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
This is our moment, this is our time, this is our Vision 2030. It's our time to ignite change.
Hello, good morning everyone. Glad to see most of you have made it back and ready for World Council. Now, if you're not sure, today is Wednesday, and I did have to check that on my piece of paper, and you have 2 days to go, so please pace yourselves. We all need to get to Friday nice and sprightly so we can rock it out at that closing ceremony. We want to say hello to our virtual delegates who are joining us from Africa, Asia, South America, North America, and Europe, and all points in between. Thank you for tuning in today. It's going to be a big day. Now, I want to begin today with a very important message regarding COVID-19. As you all know, COVID is still with us, and we have established a COVID-19 protocol that is closely monitored. Since the beginning of World Council, a number of delegates have reported symptoms, and the appropriate steps for their own health and safety has been taken. The good news is the protocol is working as intended, and we encourage you to review it in the app. Now, out of an abundance of caution, we are now recommending you all wear masks and practice social distancing while together in large groups, such as plenaries and engagement panels. We will continue to monitor reported cases closely and acknowledge that the mandatory requirement for masks, while not yet here, does still remain a possibility. Many of you have your own masks, and for those who do not, a supply of them will be available at the help desk later this afternoon. Today is also the day to self-administer your second COVID test if you haven't already. Instructions are in the kit, and if you need assistance, please inquire at the help desk. It's important that we work together to keep the effort of us safe and COVID aware.
Okay, everyone, it's time to get down to work. Yesterday, we approved our first global strategic plan, Vision 2030. Let's give a round of applause. Amazing. Now comes the hard part. Today, implementation planning begins. The engine to that process is something called collabs, and it is where we will be spending much of our time from now through the end of World Council. After collabs, we have lunch, devotions, and another round of engagement panels this afternoon. Voting delegates are back here for the executive committee elections, followed by the announcement of results. It's going to be another great day. And here to get us organized and orientated to the collab process, please welcome National General Secretary for YMCA Scotland, Kerry Reilly, and Head of Strategy and Policy for the World YMCA, Razvan Victor Sassu. And we're also We're also going to watch a video before they get speaking.
Throughout the world, young people yearn to inherit a world of possibility, a world of opportunity. However, many face injustice, indignity, and inequity. At the YMCA, we feel that pain, and we pledge to turn it into potential, the potential to ignite change. It's why we've come together as one vision, one mission, one voice, one movement. It's a vision almost 200 years in the making. A vision to mobilize body, mind, and spirit to bring about real change in 4 areas: community well-being, meaningful work, a sustainable planet, and a just world. We need young people to ignite change for themselves and for generations to come. We need to pursue one global mission uniquely brought to life in 120 countries and 12,000 communities, with the potential to touch the lives of over 60 million people each year. This is the moment for our global movement to come together. This is our moment, our time. This is our YMCA Vision 2030.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CoLab's introductory session. Yesterday, we made history together with the adoption of Vision 2030, which is our new global strategy that will set us on a path of internal transformation, community empowerment, and global advocacy. Vision 2030 was co-created. We worked 3 years together, the whole movement on this, starting at YMCA 175. And it will be equally important to continue to co-create the implementation of Vision 2030. And this is where it gets tricky. Because, you know, and many have said, and many of you know, we all make strategies. We all have very nice papers, very nice documents that sound very good. But in the end, what really matters is how we actually put it in practice. And YMCA Vision 2030 will only matter in the end if we together make it happen. And why do we need to make it happen, and for whom? We need to make it happen for every single person in this world who is not treated with dignity, for every person who is facing injustice, for every person for whom well-being is a concept that they do not even dare to talk about because either of mental or physical challenges that they are facing, for every single person who doesn't have an earning wage that allows them to fulfill their potential. And yes, indeed, for the planet that we as humanity, unfortunately, are destroying every single day a tiny little bit. For that, we need to indeed work on Vision 2030. And today, we are going to take together the first step towards making that happen with the help of the World Council CoLabs. So what's going to happen? When we are all coming together, and I see a lot of people are still coming, and hopefully we will be most of us here by the end of this session, we will go into 35 groups who will be guided by 2 to 3 facilitators, and we will tackle for each group, we will tackle one strategic goal of Vision 2030. And what are we going to do with it? We are going to unpack it. We are going to explore what it means for yourself, for your community, and of course for your YMCAs. And we are going to do that through a co-design process, which we hope will be fun and creative. It's a non-formal process, and it was created with the help of a very large group, and also with Think Place Australia, who helped us facilitate that. But before we continue and before we go to that nice process, I want to take a moment, and I want together for us to take a moment to acknowledge the over 120 people who contributed to the CoLabs process in the past 3 years. And I specifically would like to acknowledge the CoLabs coordinators, the over 85 facilitators who volunteered to support this process, 85 facilitators from this room, from the delegates who actually volunteered and sacrificed their time to make this experience as meaningful as it can be. So I really want to take a moment to thank all the facilitators who volunteered. And of course, I want to thank the Danish hosting team. Just as we speak, over 40 volunteers are lining up outside to help us get to our groups. And the Danish hosting team really offered a huge amount of logistical support to make this happen. Also, the methodology of the CoLabs was designed by a large group representative of the whole movement that came together in Geneva, and that journey was facilitated by Think Place Australia, who is specializing in design thinking. And last but not least, I would like to thank the global staff team for their tremendous support in helping us getting from the idea to practice and to put it in practice today. And to tell us more about how this idea came about and to explore a bit more about co-design and design process, I want to invite the National General Secretary of YMCA Scotland, Kerry Reilly, to tell us more.
Thank you very much, Razvan. So why CoLabs? Well, back after YMCA 175, a group of us gathered together in the Netherlands to begin to think about World Council. And we thought, we don't want to just go with traditional workshops where people are imparting knowledge and everyone sits and listens. We're at a different stage in the movement now. We're at a stage where we need to co-create together. We're at a stage where Vision 2030 was beginning to be developed. We were talking about our North Star. And we really wanted to try a different approach, an intergenerational approach, an approach that would involve everybody, that would value everybody's experience, and would value everybody's contribution. So we brought Think Place on, and they did some really interesting work with us. And I'd like you to get just a little flavour. So I hope you've all had breakfast. Hopefully, you've all had breakfast. I want you to think, go back to your home and think about what are the steps in making a piece of toast? What are the steps in making a piece of toast? And then turn to your neighbour and tell them what those steps are. Just for a quick minute. Turn to your neighbour and talk about the steps in making a piece of toast. Okay, so much conversation over a piece of toast. Can you imagine the conversation we're going to have over the pillars? But I guarantee that not everybody in this room started from the same place. Did anyone start with buying a loaf of bread? Yeah. Did anyone start with making a loaf of bread? Yes, thank you, Sahalia. Did anyone start with taking a piece of bread and just sticking it in a toaster? Yeah? Okay, so people start from different places, and we need to have that understanding of where people are starting from. And that's the bit of a design process that's called the empathy piece. And then from there, in the collabs, you will go on to the bit that's around ideation. Well, what are the ideas that we've got of how we can reach the end goal? Is something somebody else said to you going to stimulate a thought for you? Oh, I could do that slightly differently. I might be able to make a better bit of toast if I use the person I've just talked to, their idea. And then you move on to the innovation, where you innovate your ideas. And then, of course, comes the testing. And you go back and you test it and you see if it works and you maybe tweak it a little bit more and try again. That's the idea behind the collabs. And that's why we wanted to use that design thinking process to really help us with Vision 2030. And so we'd really ask that you go into this process fully willing to participate, to share your reality, to maybe be a little bit uncomfortable at times. It's not always going to be comfortable, but it's a process that is not just for World Council, because our vision and our hope is that we can then take the collab process that we have designed, and you'll be able to take it back and use it again. You might want to improve it, you might want to adapt it. And so that's the thinking behind the collab. So this is really where the hard work of enacting and figuring out how we're going to put Vision 2030 into action. We now have a very short video that will show you a little bit more about collabs.
In July 2022, we made history and adopted our first global collective strategy, YMCA Vision 2030. As we embark on this new journey together, getting ready to ignite change in over 12,000 communities worldwide, it's time to delve deep into how we can put Vision 2030 into action. And the first step to do that is through the World Council collabs. So let's discover together what will happen in the next few days. First things first, what is a collab? Collabs are spaces where you'll shape together with other delegates around the world the implementation of Vision 2030. You will join a collab topic that corresponds to one goal of Vision 2030, and together with your peers, you will go through 4 phases together to explore the goal. 1. Unite, where you will get to know your colleagues and what brings you together around this topic. 2. Explore, where you will get a better understanding together of the topic. 3. Create, where you will co-design solutions and ideas to reach the goal. 4. Ignite, where you will refine the ideas and work on a roadmap, but also pledge your own action towards reaching the goal. Now that you know the basics, let's explore some tips and tricks that will make your and your colleagues' experiences as inspiring as it can be. Stay curious and open-minded. Be kind with your colleagues and with yourself. Remember that everybody is coming from a different culture and background. Be available to help whenever needed. And also remember that English might not be the first language of many of your fellow colleagues. Be present and contribute at the pace and rhythm that feels comfortable for you. And now let's see some logistics to help you get around easily. Each collab group has its own room allocated, either in the music house or in a few nearby buildings. There are volunteers available to help you find your way to your group, and you can also find all the required information in the app. Your collab room will stay the same throughout the event. You will have 2 to 3 facilitators who are there to guide your learning and collaboration process. Now you're all set. For any questions, ask your facilitator or a volunteer. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Kerry, and thank you for giving us a bit of a taste of what's going to happen. So now, enough talking, and ready. Are you ready to go? Yes. Excellent. So now imagine that we are going to have a bit of fun, going with a few hundred people, close to 1,000, in 5 different buildings, in 35 rooms. So as you can imagine, that will be an interesting challenge. So we truly hope that in the next 30 minutes everybody will be happily in their rooms with their facilitators and ready to start. But if not, let's hope everybody will be okay in the end. So, we are going to... Not the correct slide. No problem. There is absolutely no problem. Okay. Don't worry. You just need to look on your app, and in the app, no. Take off the slide, please. Okay, thank you. So, first things first. Please go on your app, in the schedule, and you will find there CoLab Session 1, CoLab Session 2, and you should have a number. That number is the number of your CoLab group. If you have on your badge a different number, it doesn't matter. What's in the app is correct. We had a lot of volunteers who double-checked, triple-checked, and what is in the app should be correct. If you do not have the app, or you have any issues with the app, there are volunteers at the help desk who can support you. And I would like to invite you to go to the help desk when you go out if you do not know your CoLab group number. So, in less than 2 minutes, we are going to go outside this plenary hall. And outside the music house, there should be at least 35 volunteers holding signs with the number of each group. So what I would like to invite you to do is to make sure you know your number. Once you know your number, go to the volunteer who has the sign with that number on. And that volunteer will go together with you to your assigned CoLab room. There are about 5 buildings. All of them are less than 7 minutes away, so it should not be a big issue. And there are also volunteers on the way. For everybody who is late, we also have a backup team who will also support everybody who is not in the room here and will not know what to do. So a lot of the Danish hosting team and a lot of the delegates who have volunteered as well are going to support this process. Okay, so I would like to wish you to have fun, to have a great experience, and hopefully when we see each other again at the end of the outcome session, to be able to share meaningful stories and experiences together. So have fun, and please proceed slowly and carefully outside the room and outside the music house. Thank you very much.
And Razvan reminded me to tell you to fill your water bottles before you go. It will be a flexible coffee break, depending on what you're doing, but remember to fill your water bottles.
Thank you.
Should we go?